Live from our studios here at Rage in Accra, the Akria Bohima studio. This is News Night, and I am Bright Nanakwasi Amani. Coming up in the next 60 minutes. Minority in Parliament thwarts attempts by Chairman of Finance Committee to amend portions of report on the $750 million Afrexim Bank facility after he admitted churning out a wrong figure on Ghana's foreign reserves. We'll tell you more. Association of Ghana Industries and Spare Parts Dealers intensified calls for reservoir of benchmark value policy ahead of media budget presentation in Parliament next Monday by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Leadership of Swami Magazine in Kumasi renders an apology to their MP Osei Mensah Bonsu following pelting of sachet water at him in a protest over the club votes, a move its members, the instigators, disagree with. Ministry of Education refutes claims attributed to the Ghana Education Service Director General by the media that a review of the free senior high school policy is underway. And on the international front, Ukraine and Russia signed deals to allow Kyiv to resume exports of grain through the Black Sea in a move marked remarkable as war between the two countries ensues. Thank you so much for joining us here on the news tonight. Now, the Minority Caucus in Parliament on Friday clashed with members of the Majority Caucus following an attempt by Chairman of the Finance Committee to amend portions of the Finance Committee's report on the $750 million Afrexim Bank facility. Chairman of the Finance Committee, Kweku Kwarteng, admitted in Parliament that his side had erred at the committee level when it reported that the BOG's foreign reserves had declined from $9 billion to $3 billion.
Resisted attempts by the government to amend portions of a report of the Finance Committee on the $750 million Afrexim Bank facility. The committee's report quoted Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta as having told the committee the reserves of the BOG have dwindled from $9 billion to $3 billion. Chairman of the Finance Committee in Parliament, Kweku Kwarteng, moved a motion for amendment of the committee's report to indicate the reserves dwindled from over $9 billion to $7 billion and not $3 billion.
In that report, Mr. Speaker, we reported that the international reserves of the Bank of Ghana had declined from $9 billion to $3 billion. Mr. Speaker, this was an error. It was an unfortunate oversight. According to the Bank of Ghana, the gross international reserves of the country was $9.7 billion at the close of December 2021. This declined to $7.68 billion at the close of June 2022. Mr. Speaker, the error is regretted, and I request the clerk at table to ensure that all the records are accordingly corrected.
But the attempt was immediately rejected by the Minority Caucus.
I was swayed to support the loan agreement on the basis of what the Minister responsible for Finance told us. So if he comes here to tell us that, based on what the Minister responsible for Finance has informed the committee, he's changing it, then I'm also at liberty to say that I've withdrawn my approval. I've withdrawn my position on that. So, Mr. Speaker, please, let us not enter into these territories. It is too dangerous for us to enter there. A statement cannot amend the committee's report. If for any reason the Minister responsible for Finance comes in the form of a statement to correct that, I may accept that.
Mr. Speaker, if what he's saying is true, that it means that the Minister of Finance lied to the committee. And Mr. Speaker, and I'm saying that on all these legs, he makes the situation worse than before. Because this is a committee's report, They reported in this House. Based on the committee's report, the House decided to see that, oh, we are in a certain precarious situation. Therefore, let's approve it. And we did approve. Now, if you are coming back to revise portions of that report, the simple question everybody will ask is that, is the report going to be relayed for reconsideration? What is the implication? Mr. Speaker, the neatest way for me, for the chair, is to withdraw the statement that is making.
The House, in conclusion, agreed to shelve the argument until the Finance Minister comes to the House on Monday, July 25, to substantiate the new figures.
The Minority Caucus leader addressed the press and insisted the action by the Majority Caucus had no space in Parliament's standing orders.
What he did today, he has actually worsened Ghana's plight, unfortunately. He should have left it to the central bank for the central bank to take a decision on that. But what he did today has no place in parliamentary procedures, and we cannot accept it. Some of us on the committee got alarmed with the reserves position when the minister responsible for finance made that statement, categorical statement, in the sense that if your country's reserve position has declined to, say, 3 billion, so you barely have less than a month of import cover. So if care is not taken, Ghana will get into a situation very soon where we will not have money, foreign exchange to buy fuel, or foreign exchange to buy, let's say, medicine. That is a clear case of Sri Lanka.
This is the height of the level of credibility crisis that we have. And this goes to confirm the fact that Ken Ofori-Atta is not fit for purpose in that ministry. Ken Ofori-Atta was not elected by us as a co-president. He became a finance minister because the president made him a finance minister. Having failed, he should walk away and allow us to do our work. Look at the confusion between him and the governor. So keep an eye on the data that will be released. The same reserves, you disagree with IMF. You remember all the time, IMF disagrees with them. The minority disagrees with you. Now, Minister for Finance and Governor disagree. Clearly, things fall apart. And only a change in the leadership of the Minister of Finance would restore some bit of credibility of our country.
Now, an economist, Courage Boti, has described the apology from the chairman of Parliament Finance Committee, Kweku Kwarteng, on the wrong figures given out about the Bank of Ghana's reserve as appropriate. According to him, it would have rattled the market if it were not corrected immediately.
I think it's appropriate. It got a lot of people apprehensive, and of course, it would rattle the market if it were not corrected immediately. That is, if it hasn't done so already. I knew from the onset that there is something wrong, because the last I saw of reserves in May was something around 8.4 or so billion. It couldn't have fallen to 3 billion in a space of 2 months. Besides, we expected the numbers, updated numbers from the Bank of Ghana later today ahead of the MPC on Monday. And so we should all just wait for that data. And so it's appropriate, it's corrected.
The Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Awingubit, ahead of the 2022 Media Budget Review on Monday, July 25, has cautioned the government not to introduce new taxes that will burden importers and exporters.
Already ordinary Ghanaians are complaining. Even Ghanaian produce is on the high, let alone the one that's being imported with this current rate of 8 point something. To the city, $1, 8 point something. And so I can tell you, it's not going to be a palatable story if the government take it off. And I can tell you, the 2022 Media Budget Review, from us, from the port community, we do not want to see any layer of a tax component again. This Media Budget Review that's coming on 22nd, if the government goes ahead to introduce any additional layer, if you go to the port today, people are sitting and the trees, they have no job. Import has dropped in this country. That's the reality. And so agents are there, they have no job to be done. If the government goes ahead to introduce anything, they will meet us at the port.
recent time have called on government for a reduction of the benchmark value, which they say will widen their profit. But how has this call been received by government? And what is their expectation ahead of the media budget review? My colleague Elvis Andor visited the spare parts dealers arena for a conversation. Take a look.
In some few days to come, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will hit the floor of Parliament for the 2022 mid-year budget review. But amidst all the current economic crisis the country is being faced with, what are the expectations of these traders who trade their business at Abossey Okai?
I say $10 and I check Temabo because my business near Temabo, $1 near Tisua. I let my Medumano Akosuye. I say to me, it is Anya Manusudia. I say, Edumanu Sruaneko.
So he is saying that he would wish that the dollar rate would be looked at so that the CD can match up with the dollar. And also, let me find out from this man as well. The same question maybe say Wunyano. Then you bet me buying ebeye aboa oya ebema wo ho ahehan.
Me say buying the advices who. Now I hope say advices no omo kasana aban ebi ho mo a obetimi da yeduma amana yi. See dollar rate akosoro a whole lot. Utiase until at least young gugu no makra ma yen na nsu entumi we budget I hope say no budget ever kind or money papa bi free mu. That's all I can see.
Okay, so he is saying that there is too much hardship in the country and he would wish that the government will look at better ways in resolving issues about inflation and also astronomical increase of prices in the country.
Duties in the fleet no I not too much. I too be you maka kira bi kura no a boy say oton so one dobro na obedoro bun so de obefa no so so ntumi nya dai emfa anti quantity duties no so any fleet na anodin.
So his expectation ahead of the mid-year budget review is that the government would at least look at some reductions of taxes on their imports.
On titi near maniso, to say duties no, any bosh and obeshe no. Okay,
so all these people are saying that government should look at how best he could manage the taxes, especially on import duties. And these are the comments coming in from dealers of spare parts in Abossey Okai. Reporting for Metro News, I am Elvis Andor, Accra, Abossey Okai.
Let's stay a bit longer on issues concerning the budget and the Bank of Ghana. Joining us via Zoom is Director of Strategy and Business Operations at Daylex Finance, Joe Jackson. Good evening to you and welcome to News Night here, Joe Jackson. What do you make of the misinformation from the Finance Committee which has led to the approval of a $750 million loan?
And,
Joe Jackson.
Everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Kindly go on, please. I'm asking, what do you make of the misinformation that has led Parliament to approve a loan of $750 million?
Well, listen, one of the things that we all have to accept is that we are in dire straits. We are in dire straits, and we needed those loans to keep us going until we can get an IMF program going. And for that reason and that reason alone, it's okay to approve those loans. Remember that even the IMF, which was concerned about the sustainability of our debt, very concerned, says approve the loans totaling $1 billion. So, under the circumstances, I can only say things are tough. So when tough times come, you have to take hard decisions.
Joe, but the minority in Parliament thinks otherwise. Do you think the loan should be revised since the current reserve is being questioned?
Listen, the issue of the reserve was very, very unfortunate and has a lot of us very worried. The two different figures quoted has us very worried. Because remember that as recently as a few weeks ago, there was an IMF delegation. They must have had discussions. That reserve figure must have been discussed. How come there is such a significant disparity between what the central bank is saying and what the Ministry of Finance is saying. It's really one of the saddest events that have occurred in the last few days. That this disparity, and it doesn't really matter what level, in a sense, it doesn't matter what the true level is. That there is such a significant dispute makes us all very sad.
And what type of conversation do you prefer to be had concerning the reserve and the loan, an amount of $750 million US?
I mean, in ideal situations, I would love to have a central bank official, a Ministry of Finance official, and them telling us what the figure is, and whoever was wrong need to apologize for it.
All right, let's now talk about the budget review on Monday, 25th of July. What are your expectations?
Well, the major issue is simply this. The government has to give us an enhanced domestic program. That enhanced domestic program has to have significant, and the key word there is significant, cuts to expenditure. In a sense, it has to be a precursor to the IMF program. And that's what we're expecting. Those sacred cows which we can't seem to touch must be put on the table and examined. Free SHS. Allowances to trainees. The size of our public workforce and the remuneration they get. The size of the central government and its affiliated advisors and the remuneration they get. Everything must be on board. And we're expecting to see significant cuts so that we can trumpet to the whole world that Ghana is prepared to face up to its problems, do the right thing to restore us back to the path of growth.
All right, and a few hours before we came on air for Newsnight, there were discussions on whether government will be reviewing the free SHS or not. And you just mentioned that you expect to hear on Monday that there are some adjustment done to the free SHS. What exactly are you looking forward for?
I want us to look at the issue of feeding. I want us to look at feeding, which constitutes over feeding and boarding, which constitutes such a, or maybe anything up to 70% of the cost. How can we be feeding and boarding and yet not providing textbooks? How can we be feeding and boarding and have this country under the threat of defaulting in its debt? How can we, just because I have a child and you have a child, and because I decide that my child should go to boarding school in Cape Coast, and you decide that your child will go to day school where you live, the country spends more on my child than spends on your child? How can we have a situation where whether I can pay or not, I'm still receiving the same benefits? These are tough times, and these require tough decisions. And that's my prayer, that the tough decisions that need to be made will be made, and that our opposition will also, despite a lot of legitimate concerns, put aside partisan politics for us to come together to do what is right by this country we have.
All right, thank you so much for coming here tonight, Joe Jackson. So Joe Jackson is the head of business operations at Dalex Finance. We've been talking about the country's foreign reserves and also the media budget review that will be happening on the 25th of July, 2022. come this Monday. Let's bring you more news here this evening. And ahead of the media budget review on July 25, an economist, Courage Boti, has called on government to streamline the free SHS so parents can bear some of the cost to reduce pressure on government.
There is a better time to get Ghanaians to rally behind the government to tighten up a bit. I guess this is the best time because we are at our lowest now and probably at our humblest. This is time to signal to the market, especially when IMF is in town and we are preparing to start a program that we can actually downsize and then get the market back on our side. And so I feel more of the expenditure controls like we saw in the first half of the year or the first quarter of the year when government cut discretionary spending by some 30%, and then along with some other expenditure control measures. We've seen that in the first quarter numbers that they have had to trim expenditure by over 3 billion to make up for the revenue shortfall. Okay. But that notwithstanding, the fiscal numbers were still a little over the target for the period. And for this period, things like the teachers' trainee allowances, things like the nurses' trainee allowances are things I believe can go easily and without debate. I think things like free SHS can be streamlined so that some particular cost items could be probably considered for parents to take up, and then the government takes up the rest. Because, I mean, a wholesale, about 10 or 11 cost items in there taken wholly by government, and government being under pressure, I think this is time to resurrect that conversation, and then we could find value for.
So live from our studios here at Virgin Accra on DSTV channel 277, and this is Newsnight. We are back from the break with more. Stay with us.
We are so much frustrated, and we are still frustrated about what is going on concerning the road. But we think the approach was very bad. That wasn't the way that we should go. So our boys took the law into their hands.
Welcome back. Now, some artisans at Swami Magazine in Kumasi have downplayed calls by Ashanti MP caucus to apologize to the Majority Leader of Parliament, Osei Mensah Bonsu, over attacks on him last week.
Ashanti MP caucus of the majority side and some opinion leaders of Swami called for an apology over attacks on the Majority Leader when he visited Swami following protests over poor roads. Some artisans will not take any of that and insisted they did nothing wrong.
Contractor say, quota la shot to Abuani ho. Abu Subankasi ani to Abu. Malkasi Abu Timo better than Abu Webesa. I'll say Abuani quota la shot to. It's a demonstration here, so
They insisted their actions have resulted in the contractor reporting to site and beginning work, and so will not apologize. Meanwhile, leadership of Swami Magazine have rendered an unqualified apology to the Majority Leader of Parliament, Osei Mensah Bonsu, over the incident. Addressing a press conference at Swami, leaders of the artisans condemned the attack of the Majority Leader. The leadership of Swami Magazine is made up of Spare Part Dealers Association, Garages, Swami Magazine Industrial Organization, Mechanical Association. The Ashanti Regional President of Ghana Union of Traders, Anthony Opon, together with the Chairman of Spare Parts Dealers Association of Swami Magazine, Edu Kofi Godfred, rendered the apology.
The apology is that, yes, we are so much frustrated, and we are still frustrated about what is going on concerning the road. But we think the approach was very bad. That wasn't the way that we should go. So our boys took the law into their hands and pelted our honorable minister with sachet water and other unprintable words. We think that was bad. That's the reason why we are rendering this apology.
Meanwhile, the Municipal Chief Executive Officer of the Swami Assembly, Maxwell Fosubuachi, has been explaining the scope of work being undertaken by the contractor.
The MP was given the money to come and fix the road, and he didn't. he pushed strongly. The contract was awarded to a company. The company started the works and abandoned the works along the way, all because of acute shortage of bitumen.
Let's now go to the Ashanti region and have a conversation with the Ashanti regional correspondent, Abdul Basir Suleiman, on what exactly is happening there in the region, particularly Swami. Now, how is the difference among the artisans and their leadership playing out, Abdul?
There is a difference between the grassroots artisans and the leadership. That very day, the leadership invited the MP of the Poor Road Network. However, upon his arrival at the scene, the moment the youth saw him coming, they started hooting and pelting sachet water at him. So the officials, the leaders of the Swami Magazine were not happy with the incident that happened that very day. There has also been calls from majority caucus in Parliament, together with some opinion leaders of Swami, who explained that what happened that very day was not called for the youth to even pelted sachet water on the MP. So the authorities have taken responsibility of whatever happened at that moment, and they are rendered an unqualified apology to the member of Parliament. But according to the grassroots, for them, they don't need any. They don't owe the MP any apology, because what they do has brought them a result. Because when the very day that they protested, the contractor has come on the road and they've started working on it. So they believe what they did has yielded result for them. So they don't have to apologize to any authority, according to them. But the leaders too think they have to give the courtesy to the member of Parliament by apologizing to him and to Ghanaians in general, because he is a leader and a minister of state.
Now, works has begun on the stretch, like you mentioned. An apology has been rendered to the member of Parliament, especially, who is the majority leader, Osache Mensah Bonsu. Leaders of the artisans there in Swami have apologized, but the grassroots members are not happy about it. What are they going to do next? Have you spoken to them? What are they telling you?
Yes, we even asked the same question. We asked the same question at the press conference. According to them, they've been talking to the youth ever since the day they protested against the Poor Road. They met them and they are talking to them. They need to remain calm so that the authority, because according to them, they've even gone to the urban roads to make all the processes to meet the urban road director, and they've even promised them even ahead of the protest. So they have taken responsibility and are calling on the youth to remain calm as they lead in every activity to ensure that their concerns is being addressed, particularly with the Poor Road Network, which is affecting economic activity.
All right. Thank you, Abdul Basir Suleiman. So he is our Ashanti regional correspondent. Away from Kumasi, let's do some politics here tonight. The General Secretary of the New Democratic Congress, NDC, Asiedu Nketia, has called for repair in the administrative lapses in the judiciary, since he believes it misinforms Ghana's democratic system. He spoke at a press conference here in Accra.
It has been our understanding that the setting up of divisions of the High Court in Accra, such as the Criminal Division, Lands Division, the Human Rights Division, and the Commercial Division, were all meant to ensure that these specialized courts deal with matters that directly fall within their competence and jurisdictions. In fact, this court started very beautifully, and many were those who hailed the establishment of the courts. Incidentally, in recent times, these beautiful arrangements appear to have been thrown into a state of utter confusion, where we could now witness even land cases being sent to commercial courts, clear-cut commercial court cases being sent to human rights courts, and criminal cases sent to the judges at the Lands Division. Sometimes, the assignment of cases to particular judges is done in a manner that makes one wonder what is the motivation for the case assignment. Recently, the case involving Dr. Kesara Tuforsen was originally assigned to Justice Solomon Oponchumasi only for the judge to announce in open court that the Chief Justice had reassigned the case to another judge in another division of the High Court. This development is quite mind-boggling, and we wonder why, for us in Ghana, we start everything so much aplomb and fanfare, only for us to ruin it along the way.
And away from politics, let's now do some education stories here tonight from the Ministry of Education, where the PRO for the Ghana Education Service, Kwesi Kwarteng, has been speaking. And according to him, the Ministry of Education has refuted claims around the Ghana Education Service by the media that a review of the free senior high school policy is underway. The funding of the government's flagship program has come under scrutiny, especially in the face of the current economic downturn being experienced in the country. Some senior high schools have complained of food shortages and lack of funds for smooth running of activities. We are trying to have a conversation with the PRO of the Ghana Education Service, Mr. Kwarteng, for more on this. As and when we get him, we will speak to him. But away from that for now, Adanse Travels has announced at the launch of a new offer aimed at encouraging Ghanaians to undertake tours. The offer is expected to boost tourism in these difficult economic times.
The facility will enable tourists to embark on tours even in these difficult times. The general manager of retail business for Societe Generale, Obed Hoya, said lack of funds is a drawback in effort at boosting tourism.
Travel is one of the things that is becoming very prominent in our environment, and we are there to assist clients, our clients and future clients, to be able to facilitate these trips. So we are more than ready to do that. And as you've seen today, that is why we were very instrumental in quickly working with Adanse to package this product which we have launched today.
Director of Adanse Travels, Gideon Asari, said the collaboration will bring experts in their respective fields to boost tourism. He said Ghana abounds in great tourism potential and the need to work at exposing potential tourists to what other countries can offer is important.
COVID is really affecting our effort to make travel cheaper for you and I. And so as a company that keep innovating and being creative, we started looking at ways to keep to the pace of the world economy so that even as the prices keep shooting up, we can still find a way that will not, break the bank for you, but you still find a way to travel, not say that, okay, because of the economic crisis, I can't travel any longer. Because I enumerated the benefits there, and these benefits, we need to constantly have them.
The collaboration is expected to see more projects to improve tourism in Ghana and beyond.
You are watching this night here on Metro TV from Astucia's Regional Accra, the Accra Boy Mass Studio Quick 10. When we come back, the man with all the business news in Ghana, Western Taki, will be here. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsnet Live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to our first business story. According to the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, Dr. Humphrey Ayim Dake, the reversal of the benchmark value policy will rejuvenate industrial growth and development.
We did say the implementation of this policy will dislocate our economy, will change the model of our economy because it goes to the root of our agrarian business. And we are not surprised what is happening. Bear in mind, once upon a time, the Commissioner General indicated that we had lost about 9 billion Ghana cedis by virtue of this policy. And it goes beyond that because that is the estimation from the Commissioner's place. If we do the opportunity cost and the impact on industry, you will see that it's a big cost to us, and we pray that our colleagues in Parliament need to look at this. The reversal of the benchmark discount value will lead to high productivity in that value chain. It will support the rejuvenation of the agrarian sector all the way to the district, the one district, one factory.
Now, butchers at the Malamata market have called on government to pay attention to the meat industry just as much as it has on the farm produce. This comes after a wake-up call on the rising inflation and its impact on domestic food prices across markets.
To Jamal Mohammed Abdallah, a butcher at Malamata market, there are no livestock in the country, and this has compelled them to buy livestock from neighboring countries. Speaking to Metro News, he appealed to the government to pay attention to livestock rearing just as much as it has given attention to farm produce.
We are appealing to the government. Look, they always concentrate on what? Planting of what? Food, right? They don't concentrate on the rearing of what? The livestock. So we are appealing to the government. They should also what? Consider maybe teach people how to what? Rear the animals. Ghana, we don't have animals. We don't have animals at all.
Also complained that the dollar rate and increase in petrol has greatly affected their businesses and their profit.
A lot of problem since this government came into power, right? The dollar and the CFA is affecting us. You know, most of these cows that we are buying and the goats and sheep that are coming in are not from Ghana. They are from our neighboring countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, right? So these are some of the factors that are what? Affecting our business. And the increment of fuel too is a lot. Because when I go to buy the cow, right? The car that will convey the cow to the slaughterhouse, I have to pay. And the car that will bring the meat back from the slaughterhouse to the market, I have to pay, right? So we are facing a lot, and every day we always increase the price. And I'm telling you, my sister, if care is not taken, at the end of this year, the price of meat will go to 25 Ghana cedis.
He again pleaded for the government to pay attention to butchers since they pay taxes and contribute to the development of the country.
Now, away from that, the Importers and Exporters Associations have called on managers of the Integrated Customs Management System, ICUMS, to beef up customer service relations to improve port services.
In June 2020, the government of Ghana, Customs Division of the GRA, Unipass Ghana, and other agencies joined hands to usher Ghana's trade to a single window system, the Integrated Customs Management Systems. This is to function fully as an e-customs system to coordinate cross-border trade activities, cut costs to stakeholders, and increase government revenue mobilization. 2 years after its implementation, the Importers and Exporters Association are calling on authorities to improve its online services.
Some agencies are not stated or are not assuming if you are clearing a product like rice or you are clearing a product that you ought to do something with FDA or Standards Authority or whatever. It doesn't give you automatic. We are recommending that they should also add, just like if one is clearing a commodity that has to do with EPA, and straight away in the system, it will tell you that this commodity that you've entered, you key to the system, you need EPA. So if you have to go to EPA to get their permit or their certificate or their approval. So we are recommending that in as much as they've done for EPA, they should do same for the other institutions, not allowing one to get to the port at the point of clearance, then you'll be told that you have to go to this institution, you need a certificate here or there.
Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Awingobet, further called on ICAM's authorities to ensure efficient customer service.
They have a customer service at Tema. If one call or wherever they are, or if one call, they pick. But the way in which the customer service responds, it sometimes look like they are doing a favor to the business community, which is not. You are working for pay. If the importer or the agent who's working on the importer's documents call on you and you don't give them good response, as a customer service, we strongly believe that you should have the tips of the technicality in your hands. However, if the customer service is not technically competent enough, we are appealing or we are making a recommendation that they should also attach technical people to be at their customer service.
Meanwhile, the association has lauded ICAMS for the transformation at the port, but calls for further improvements.
That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. We'll be back with sports after this break. Stay tuned. My name is Fayo John Quarter, and it's time for Newsnight Sports here in Accra, Ghana. After winning 2 awards at the 2022 CAF Awards held in the Moroccan city of Rabat, Ghana's Evelyn Bedu seems to receive all the accolades and praise from all people across the world. The latest to praise her is the former Blaster defender, Ajima Bedu.
She did a great job looking where she is coming from. We are all from the same town. I sent her a message this morning. I called her and sent her a congratulatory message, but I told her to be focused because she's a captain now and she's leading the team to the World Cup, but without any pressure. She had done a great job. You will be there for her and guide her so that she can be a great footballer for the nation and for my town, Sekwa. I think the handlers of her should be very, very active to take very good care of her, because now there will be a lot of attention on her. She's still very young, so she's still in that kind of age that these accolades would if you don't take care, will get to her. So we will keep talking to her, and the handlers will do their job, and I think he will need the support from the nation. This is football. At any given time, things may turn to the other side, which all of us, maybe we won't like it, but this is the kind of the job we are.
From Accra, let's go to Minnesota in the United States of America. That's where Ghana's boxer Isaac Dokpe will take on Gonzalez Jaws in the final WBO eliminator. The Ghanaian said he's ready.
It just goes to show that it's boxing, but it is having the ability to restructure yourself and coming back, and by saying that, it's about you being true to yourself and also putting in the work and listening to your corner, and that's all you can do. I love it. I love the challenge. I'm always willing to go in there and dust it off with whoever is in front of me. And listen, I'm super thankful to God, and also to Top Rank, because it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm really looking forward to this fight.
Let's go back to North Africa and focus on the finals of the African Women's Football Championship, which will be staged tomorrow in Rabat between the host nation Morocco and the Banyana of South Africa. Their coach, Desiree Ellis, said that they will be ready for the tie.
Women's AFCON Golden Glory is in sight for South Africa, who will be appearing in their second consecutive final. Banyana have ticked all of their boxes since arriving in Morocco, and the players will be determined to finish the job against the host nation and win the tournament for the very first time.
It's their day, you know. I said to them, you know, it's a dedication to them, this final, because they've really done really well, you know. Qualified us for the World Cup, and a big thank you to the players for that, and they must enjoy it. You know, this is a moment that they've been waiting for once again after 2018, waiting for this moment, and now they've got to grab it with both hands.
It's been an impressive run so far from Desiree Ellis's Chargers. Banyana negotiated a tricky group which featured defending champions Nigeria, Burundi and Botswana. They did so with flying colours and earned 9 points. They continued their march by downing Zambia in the last 4 with virtually the last kick of the contest, and will now have the chance of achieving their primary objective of winning the Women's AFCON.
We're here to do a job. You know, we had objectives of qualifying for World Cup and winning AFCON, and you cannot win AFCON if you don't get to the final, and you mean the final now. And that's all we're looking forward to. I think the players have also very mature. A lot of them have played in big stadiums during the Olympics, playing Brazil in Maracana, and with their crowd, playing in Cameroon in 2016 with their home crowd. And a lot of our players played big clubs, you know, used to the crowds and used to going and traveling where things are not going their way. And I think the players have shown a lot of maturity, very focused.
The finals of the African Women's Football Championship will be played between South Africa and Morocco tomorrow. But tonight, the ladies from Abuja, Nigeria, are taking their counterpart from Lusaka, Zambia, in the third-place match currently going on in Rabat. My name is Phil John Quality. Up next, entertainment.
All right, it's time for entertainment news. My name is Theodora Akumia. Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Party in the Park, Dennis Terrier, has debunked claims stating that the organizers agreed to headline the show with dancehall arts, Shatta Wale's new album, Gift of God, GOG. This was on Entertainment Review earlier.
It wasn't an agreement. It was a request that let's put together the Gift of God album in conjunction with Aquaba UK and Ghana Party in the Park. Now, Ghana Party in the Park is the brand, right? I will not add another other activities to be what it is. What we did suggest when this discussion was taking place between us and Shatta Wale, come to London, come and do Ghana Party in the Park. Also, we would make arrangements for you to what you call have album listeners. You know, we get a different location, a different time for you to do your listenership, for people to be able to come and listen to your brand new album. So that's what it is. I don't think Party in the Park would have been the time for a new album to be launched right in the middle of the festival. I think to launch your album is also good to get the right key players, the right, you know, music industry people, all the key people to come to a gathering, whether it be in a hotel, whether it be in the studio, where it would be, to be able to launch your album. So that's what we also suggested to his representative.
Well, for the next story, meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Party in the Park, Dennis Terrier, says he has no idea what or where claims of Black Sherif requesting to be paid £50,000 is coming from.
I'm not aware of that story. I don't know where it came from. From my point of view, it's only strictly between us and Charterhouse, our partners, whereby we wanted Black Sherif to be showcased at our event. Now, okay. I've seen some of the stories you've seen surfacing, not coming from me. I don't know where they came from, but I'm sure if you ask Black Sherif as well, he might be, or Black Sherif's team, sorry, they might be able to give you a little bit more information. But from our angle, it's strictly to do with the fact that he's been the winner of the Artist of the Year, New Artist of the Year, and we wanted to make sure he showcased at our event.
Okay. Well, that's it for Entertainment News. My name is Theodora Akumia, right?
All right, Asia, thank you so much for your time here with us on the news tonight. Let's now move to some international news now.
Ukraine and Russia have signed mirror deals which will allow Kyiv to resume export of grain through the Black Sea. The agreement will allow millions of tons of grain currently trapped in Ukraine by the war to be exported. The two sides both attended a signing ceremony in Istanbul but did not sit at the same table. Russia's defense minister Sergei Shoigu signed Moscow's deal first, followed by Ukrainian infrastructure minister Alexander Kubrakov signing Kyiv's identical agreement. The deal, which took 2 months to reach, is set to last for 120 days with a coordination and monitoring center to be established in Istanbul, staffed by the UN, Turkish, Russian, and Ukrainian officials. It can be renewed if both parties agree. The Malian army says it thwarted a terrorist attack on Friday at a town on the outskirts of the capital, where a key base used by the country's ruling military is located. Armed forces vigorously repelled a dawn attack at the garrison town of Kati, the army said on Facebook, adding that the situation was under control and 2 assailants had been killed, according to a provisional toll. The U.S. Development Agency says it has given Kenya more than $255 million to tackle drought, which has left millions of people without secure food supplies. Speaking in the capital, Nairobi, the head of USAID, Samantha Power, said the war in Ukraine was increasing suffering in Kenya and the rest of the region. The UN World Food Programme says across East Africa, more than 50 million people are facing acute food insecurity. A Gabon court has handed down a sentence to the former director of the Gabon Oil Company following an investigation on corruption charges involving him and 2 other former employees of the state oil firm. On Thursday, the Special Criminal Court in the capital, Libreville, found Christian Patrici Tunasa and his deputy Jeremy Ayong guilty of embezzlement and money laundering, sentencing them to 12 and 10 years respectively.
And that's it for the News Night here on Metro TV. Here on News Night, it's Friday the 22nd of July, the last day of the working week. Have a great weekend. I'll see you later.